that means. Can everybody else? Oh, it's recording. Oh, fantastic. Hello and welcome to week 10 of the 116 release. This is Burn Down on September 3rd, which is a Monday, 2019. If you're just tuning in here, feel free to go and add your name to the attendees list on the agenda for today. As we're in Burn Down, we have a packed agenda and we are post code free, so there's plenty of things for us to work on today. So I will remind everybody that this is being recorded and will be posted publicly on YouTube. And all conversations are subject to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which governs us. Please be great to each other and treat everybody with respect in your conversations. Let's get into it. We will kick it off with an enhancements update from Kendrick.
Hey everyone, hope you all can hear me. So right now, enhancements are pretty good. We're green to go. I put all the notes there with inside the doc earlier this morning. There was an exception that was approved last week for end-to-end tests. And at this point, everything that has been tracked or it was being tracked, all the PRs for those have been merged. So everything's looking good from an enhancement standpoint.
Thank you, Kendrick. And we haven't seen, just to confirm, we haven't seen that PR approved for the E2E test for the runtime class. Is that correct? 894?
That has been merged already.
Oh, it's already done. Okay. So we are solid. It's just that PR that you put out to add the exception to the list. Excellent. All righty. Thank you, Kendrick, and thank you, enhancements team. Moving on to CI signal update with George.
So first off, happy, Tuesday, everyone. I'm gonna give you the complete opposite story of enhancement. Everything's broken on CI signal. So let me go down the list of issues that we have. So actually, before that, the CI signal report just went out a couple hours ago, I believe. So for a full story of everything that's been going on in the last couple of days and last week, please take a look at the report. Other notable events that I have to mention is we recently just added a new job for the 116 informing test grid dashboard. The job is a sig Windows on. Just for future notice, we're gonna be working with sig Windows to make a copy of that job into master informing. The job in master informing, we will make sure that it has the proper config fork annotation, so that we can prevent all the manual labor for future releases. Other than that, for anyone interested, we are going to have a release team, sig scalability catch up. This is going to be a follow up on the conversation we had at the beginning of the release. So we'll keep you all up to date with whatever comes from that. And I'm gonna stop really quick. Any questions, comments thus far before we go into jobs? Sweet. So now onto all the things that are broken. Let's start with master blocking. So we currently have 2 jobs that are failing. So and you can check out the issues and the PRs for that. So for one of them, in GCE calls master serial, we have a bunch of DNS related tests that are failing. We actually got a potential fix before we had to open a tracking PR. So the first one is a reference to the PR that is aiming to fix the test failures in that job. Please check it out. I did make sure to include the PR in the current milestone to make sure that once it gets reviewed and approved, it actually goes through the tide pool. Then next one, 82.174. This one is a failure on the GCE alpha features test on master blocking. we've been investigating this one for a couple of days. The one thing that's happening is the actual Kubernetes. There's something misconfigured in the Kubernetes cluster that is actually preventing any end-to-end test from actually running. Where we've been working on tracking this one down, and right now the possible culprit seems to be seems to be a PR that implemented a new feature, adding endpoint slice support for kubeproxy, IPVS, and IP table proxiers. Right now we're really just guessing that this might be responsible. We don't know if this is actually the root cause, but we're working with the authors of the PR to investigate further. Also, not related to CI, you should really read the KEP for this feature. Really cool. Other than that, we have 3 flags on master blocking and 11 passing. Now moving on to master informing. Master informing, we also have 2 jobs failing. One of them is scalability, SIG scalability on 82.182, deletion error on CI Kubernetes end-to-end, GCE scale performance. The alias for it, I guess, just scale performance. Right now, we are awaiting a response from SIG scalability, although they did mention that they were aware of the error, and hopefully they will report back with the full story on what's going on. The other one, 82.186, is a failure on GCE scale correctness, and this one seems to be actually this one is also a SIG scalability on job, but the failure seems to be due to a SIG network on end-to-end test. We are also waiting a response for that one. We don't know the whole story. We don't yet know exactly what's wrong. And other than that, we have one stealth job, which is a conformance suite on OpenStack. All the provider OpenStack people are diligently working on it. Most recently, they actually run into an issue with from the testing side of things, where Apache actually moved a couple of their repositories. That breaks a lot of references in Go modules and all over the place. So people are currently working on fixing that. From the general side, it actually is really cool. Most of our CI is actually safe from this issue because we're using a Go proxy. And other than that, for flaking, the flakes, nothing too bad at this moment. Release miscellaneous, we have on the release miscellaneous dashboard, we have 6 jobs flaking. The only one that looks a little bit worrisome is a pull container image promoter, which has been flaking somewhat during the last couple of days. So for this one, we'll observe if it fails again, then we'll make sure to contact probably the release engineering team to start looking at this one. And that is it from the master release side of things. Now 116 blocking. It actually has the same failures as master blocking. So hopefully once we get those fixes in, 116 blocking is gonna be healthy. And 116 informing. So this is actually the job that was added by SIG Windows, aka k8s Engine Azure 116 Windows. Turns out that the job has been failing since it was adding due to an auto scaling end-to-end test failing. And that is it for today's update on CI Signal. Anyone has any questions, comments, concerns?
If nobody else, I have a few questions, comments, and concerns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just walking that list. So the two that are failing in master blocking, the DNS tests, there's a PR open to get them fixed. There's just a missing readiness check. So that should clean that up. And Sandeep is on that. So I think we're okay. I'm just trying to figure out which ones we need action. The pods are not ready in alpha features. Rob from Google, who was working on the endpoint slice, actually commented and said, I think I have a PR for this late last night. So we should see something coming. I just want to illustrate that those two ones in master blocking actually have engagement from the owners at this point, and we're hoping to get PRs in within the next 24, 48 hours here to get them cleaned up, which I think is good. The scalability ones in master informing, the 82182, it looks pretty flaky, right? We got 3 green runs, now we've had 1 red, and then it's flaky. So I don't know what you declare as how we define flaky, but that's the one that's coming in and out of passing, right?
Yeah. So when it comes with with scalability tests, especially the 182, 182, the job takes an entire day to run. So and at least in the near past, flakiness actually means that something might be breaking. So we really need someone from scalability to tell us where to go, what to look for, or if it really is just a random flake.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some inherent in the big scalability jobs. There's some inherent race conditions that scalability has not been able to entirely fix, and so sometimes they fail not because anything new is broken, but because they've basically the combination of deployments has overloaded the cluster, even though the underlying code isn't changed.
And that might actually be the case, but the fishy thing is that this job started flaking recently, and throughout the release, it has been green.
Yeah, well, that's probably more indicative, but you're still going to need them to tell you what it means.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. And we've had no action on 82186, which is the source from. It looks like the last comment was 2 hours ago, and they've called out specifically at Mr. Hone on the, it looks like, what's this PR? Load balancer finalizer to beta, which may be the thing that's happening here. It'll be interesting to see if we get an, I can ping Sig Network to see if we can get somebody else to take a look, but it looks like at least we've called out somebody there. Okay, and do we have an issue for the one failing in 116 informing, the AKS engine Azure 116 Windows? Do we have an issue for that?
Need to create one.
Okay. Can you, once you create one, can you give it to me? I'll follow up and make sure somebody from our team is getting that cleaned up. I don't like a board getting added and it's been red since it's been added. Okay, so we'll get that cleaned up.
Absolutely.
All right. And we have a conversation with SIG scalability, but probably the only one that seems actionable right now is the source ranges networking. This conformance test is in flight, the flaky one. Is there anything else we need to try and look at? I'm just wondering who I should chase down today, but looking at most of those things, they seem to be in hand or somebody's responding.
Yeah. Yeah, so right now, if we get people from Scalability and SIG Network and SIG Windows, as far as I know, we should be good to go.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you, CI Signal. Thank you, George. Happy Tuesday. I think I said it was Monday earlier, but thank you for reminding me that it was indeed not Monday. So I just sim-linked Monday to Tuesday in my brain. Okay. Now we're moving on to bug triage update with Marco.
Hey everyone. So sadly I have to continue not so good trend. This time we are red. So regarding issues, we are static okay, 28. In other words, 8 less than we had on the last meeting. and we don't have any critical urgent issues. And regarding PRs, we have 24, and this is 70 less than we had last week, which is okay. But the problem is that we have got one critical urgent issue, and I think it has been mentioned by George in the CI signal update. It had been created today and is still missing review, so I hope it will get soon, but it is the reason why we are red time, because this is the one that appeared. And regarding PRs, we have two PRs that have HTM and approve and are the milestones, so they're probably going to get in. And beside that, the queue is drained, so we don't have any other PRs. So regarding all open issues, we have 42. So this is regarding numbers, and yeah, so the only thing I have is, should we start removing other issues and PRs from the milestone, or should we wait some more time? But this is it from our update.
Okay, yeah, a couple of things. Thanks, Marco. So are you red given just that one critical urgent PR? Is that the only reason you're red? Or are there any
this
other
is the
factors?
reason.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for calling that out. I think we're okay to start removing issues and PRs from the milestone if they haven't been, if there's been no activity and you've pinged them and said, so if there's no activity, put them in milestone next. I'm not sure of the, actually, do we just want to unmilestone them rather than kick them to the next milestone and have people re-milestone them when they pick them up? Because once you kick that milestone, yes.
Can we make sure, issues especially, we need to make sure that we're not losing signal of issues that were considered important to resolve for this milestone. PRs are more reasonable to take out of the milestone, especially if they don't have LGTM or approve or activity. But I think we need positive confirmation that an issue is not blocking before we lose track of it in the sea of non-milestone issues.
Okay, so is that, to give something, Marco, something actionable, is that really just getting the priorities on the labeling and then only unmilestone things that aren't in critical urgent? Because, for example, a couple of weeks ago, Jordan, this is just one case in point, is there's an issue from early 2018 from Clayton Coleman that something about stale reads, which is critical urgent, but it hasn't been worked on for a year and a half.
Yep.
And it's so basically it just keeps getting kicked from release to release, and nobody's actually working on it. And every release team has to go through and decide whether it's important, in which point Clayton says, yes, it's important and it's critical, but nobody's actually working on it. So yeah, I'm just wondering, is that the status quo? Do we just keep doing that?
I know that issue in particular, and I would agree that it is not prioritized correctly given reality. I would start by asking on the issues in the milestone for an analysis of whether this is release blocking, and give that a day or two. And if there's no response, then we're more free to start kicking things out. If things are release blocking and urgent, then they should have attention and we should get a response and make sure priorities are set correctly.
I think this is totally okay, but however, I don't really think regarding critical urgent, we don't have any issue and we only have that one PR. So I'm not sure, can we consider something important soon at the other priority to be release blocking? Now,
potentially, yeah.
We can ping one more time that issues have activity, but also there are some issues that have a good record of being moved from milestone to milestone and actually never been fixed. And we pinged such a social ID and we haven't received any response so far.
Yeah, if it's been moved from milestones before and there's no new information that indicates why it's important for this release, then that's reasonable to move. Things that have recent activity where they're actually getting drilled down and looked into, we want to just double check with the people who have more information on those issues before we move them out.
I think, yeah, I agree with this. It sounds like, using common sense, using a common sense issue by issue approach, is a good balance to, not overburden the next release team, and also making sure that people don't just have poorly triaged issues.
If I could make one request, if issues and PRs that we move out, if we could just keep a list of those, maybe here in the minutes or as you go through them, Marco, somewhere, so that, because once we move them out of the milestone, it is almost impossible to find them again. If someone says, oh no, wait, there was one that was really important, where did it go? It would be really helpful just for visibility to have that list. So as you move them out, just throw them in a list in this doc or in a linked doc, wherever is fine.
Okay, sounds good. I will do that.
Thank you.
Are you good, Marco?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thanks for the input, Jordan. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update, Bug Triage. Docs update with Seth.
Hey, I will break the streak of bad news. Docs is green. We have one outstanding PR that I have reached out to the team on. An update on that today. It doesn't look like there's been too much activity on it, but from what they mentioned, it doesn't look like it's that big of a deal. So it should be quick and easy for them to nail that down and have everything ready for review and or merged.
Thanks, Seth. Do you mind just linking the one that's dangling in
Yep.
the agenda? Thank
Sure
you.
thing.
Thank you, Docs. Thank you, Seth. Release notes update with Chris.
So quick update. We're still.
Chris, you are super faint.
I forgot to put my mic down. Thank you.
That's much better. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. So we're green. We have 2 PRs in for usability improvements to the release notes website. We're also doing our weekly update of the release notes stock, as well as editing for style and grammar. And the only thing we're waiting for is just the update to the comms draft for major themes. We spoke with Taylor, and we should hopefully have that by end of day today. Other than that, any questions or concerns? Awesome. Continue on.
I think the only question I had is, do you take another pass, given that there were some issues that were some enhancements that were going to fall out of the release that are now back in? Just making sure we have all those accounted for, because I know there were some things dangling on Friday.
I'll have to check with the team just to make sure. I think we're all up to date, but yeah, I'll follow up.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, release notes. Comms update with Taylor.
Hello, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Today we are tracking at yellow. Do have to get those themes over. We'll be doing that by end of day today. We've had a little bit of an issue in getting some responses, but fully expected with the holiday weekend and everything, code freeze and everything else. But still waiting on a few SIGs to get the first draft of their blog post. We haven't had any submissions yet, but we did have one get pulled out, and that's from SIG UI. That dashboard rewrite won't be making it in. It's not complete. And so we're going to, I think we had 6 total. So now we've got 5 total SIGs that we're looking at responses from. Going to be engaging with the CNCF about the overall themes as well once we have those kind of quantified, and then get that out and get an idea of just the scheduling for all the PR and everything that the CNCF is going to be running. Other than that, I don't have any blockers or concerns, but more than happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Taylor and comms team. Release branch management with Young.
Hello everyone, this is Yang for branch manager. So we have scheduled beta 2 will be cutted tomorrow. Sorry, today. Oh no, tomorrow. I'm confused with time zones, sorry. So yeah, other than that, I don't have much updates. Do you have any questions or concerns?
Nope. Thank you, Young.
Thank you.
And thank you for your tireless work to get things fast forward each and every day. I appreciate seeing that.
My pleasure.
Comms, sorry, we've done comms. Emeritus lead, Josh.
Howdy. I posted the link to the issue calling for nominations for role leads for 117. So if you're a role lead and you think that one of your shadows would be good to succeed you, that would be the place to put that nomination. Final choices will be made when we have a new release lead, which we don't yet, but do put your nominations there. We're not dealing with shadows at this time. We'll do the shadow thing later using the shadow form as we did before.
Thanks, Emeritus lead, Josh. Moving on to the release lead update, current status, I'm going with red on the release for two things. The outstanding jobs in release blocking that are red, and the scalability jobs in release master informing and master blocking. I want to get those sorted out before we go to yellow and subsequently green, hopefully. Next upcoming milestones. For this week, we're cutting beta 2 tomorrow. The docs deadline was today, so please have all your PRs ready to review. It sounds like we're only waiting on one, which is great. Thank you, Seth. Young is cutting beta 2 tomorrow. Hopefully we can clean up the two jobs in master blocking today and at least get a clean signal from master blocking that beta 2 has some sense of stability, at least in the things that are failing. It is daily burn down this week, and next week for the next 2 weeks leading up to release. So this meeting will be every day at this time. As I said, for the folks in Europe, if this time is inconvenient on Tuesdays or Thursdays, let me know and we can reschedule it. 9/9, which is next Monday, is the docs. All docs PRs need to be reviewed and merged by next week. So if you do have docs PRs out there, please work on them this week with the docs team to get them in shape, ready to merge next week. 9/10 is next Tuesday, I believe. Just popping over and have a look. Yes. 9/10 is RC1. And it's also Code Thor. So we have another week of code freeze. There's another thing of point. Stephen is using this time tomorrow for a SIG release meeting. So please show up to that meeting, because a lot of what he will be discussing regards the work that's been done by this team. And it's really longer lived items that need to get spun out and have a separate conversation. I know we've parked a few things from different teams over time. So feel free to show up and add things to the agenda tomorrow. So we will reconvene on Thursday at 9 a.m. US Pacific for the next burn down meeting. A couple of questions for me, and I know this has been discussed in previous releases, one is, do we want to continue RCs, which I think is an interesting exercise maybe for the SIG release team, but last people questioned whether RCs were useful or whether it should be another beta. So if you have ideas about that, feel free to reach out to me, but otherwise there's no beta 3 on this release schedule. We go straight into RC next week. That's it from the release lead updates. Are there any questions for me? Excellent. Moving to open discussion, anything that was not on the agenda? Nope. Okay, so while we have everybody on the call, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to walk the project board. Okay, let me just grab the link to it for those playing at home. I'll pop that in the chat. Okay, I'm going to pop that board up here. Yes. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. I'm going to walk these things that are in progress first. Okay. Is Jim on the call?
Yep, I'm here. So after reviewing the PR, it looks like all I need to do is just submit the initial draft of some verbiage on what the backporting fixes look like. I was planning on putting it here. I'll send a link in the chat. Just making sure we all agree on this. I was going to submit the PR over the weekend. Things got busy, didn't do it. And just want to see if we agree on this location here in the chat for where that doc would belong. Essentially a place to reference where, release block or backporting fixes would fit. And I think here would be perfect as a new doc.
Yeah, I think, can you throw that on the issue? I don't feel like I can answer that question.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be an iterative work. I'll submit a PR based on the discussion we had in this issue here, and I think folks are going to chime in. We'll make some, revisions to it and then submit it. It's not so much about the document itself; it's just having a place to reference it. Besides this issue of why we backport things, outside of supported releases and what dictates that.
Excellent. Thank you, Jim. Sasha, boilerplate labels, release notes.
No big update from our side for that one. It's just a work in progress now, right now.
Okay. Leave it as is. You're happy with the state?
Yeah.
In progress. Thank you, Sasha. Release blocking job criteria. Not completed despite this still. Okay, so Josh has actually updated this. Still in progress, Josh. Leave it as is in current state.
Yep, and that's some of the stuff in the sig-release meeting tomorrow.
Fantastic. Thank you. That concludes in progress. Walking to-dos. We have 4 in to-do. Membership criteria. I have this one. It's okay. I will still walk through this. Still committing to get this done before the end of the release. I have this one as well. Same state. Yep. Getting the verbiage around the different terms. Shadow improvement, July 29th. It looks like it is assigned to Josh and Stephen, which I assume is okay. Does this need to stay in to-do for now, or are you actively going to be working on this yet now?
Oh, that should stay in to-do for now. We'll actually be putting together the release team survey next week. So.
Okay, and Jeff, add information about what qualifies for a milestone.
I'm looking to work on that this week.
Fantastic. All right. And we have 5 in the backlog. Everything is assigned. I will quickly walk it for state updates and see if I can move anything in to-do. YouTube automation here with Paris. I'll ping Paris on that one. Automation to facilitate tracking spreadsheets. 6 assignees on this. Who is owning this? Any takers?
I can ping Bob once I'm off this and he's off a different call.
No worries. Release lead playbook. Looks like it's on us to actually go and fix this as assigned by Mr. Stephen. Let's take a look at that. Handling exceptions.yaml. Is Kendrick on the call? Okay, I'll follow up with Kendrick about what he wants to do with that. And I have this. I'm going to move that in to-do and clean it up. Okay. Feel free to add anything that you're working on to this board as it gets discussed in sig-release. And I will remind everybody to come along tomorrow to the sig-release meeting at the same time as this. Is there anything else I've missed? Anything that anybody wants to discuss? Excellent. Alrighty. Well, have a wonderful Tuesday, and we will see you tomorrow at the sig-release meeting at the same time, same place. Thank you. Bye-bye.